Super, Santi. Hi.
All right.
Hi. Yeah, let's talk a bit about the startup journey you had with Move, because as I already said, it was a really, really special journey that you did.
Yeah.
Of course, every startup journey is special, but yours, yeah, was just different from some that I know. Just to give the people that are watching this right now a bit of a snapshot and an overview about like from the start to the end,
Yeah.
what Move was and the journey, maybe in a few minutes, and also, of course, who the team was is super interesting.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you, Manu, for these nice minutes with you doing this interview and explaining about what Move was and who we are. What Move was or intended to be a marketplace in the fitness industry that connected people who wanted to do some fitness classes. So imagine, for example, the classes you see in your gym, right? Like yoga, boxing, whatever it is, with people, instructors who offer those services, not necessarily in a gym. We thought to do this. We come from Valencia, me and my partner, and also her brother, so the three founders. And Valencia is a great city. I don't know if you know about it, but it's the climate is amazing, so that means you can train outside, outdoors, almost during the whole year. It has great public spaces like parks to do it. So we thought it was great, and this came during the pandemic situation when all the gyms were closed. Why not creating a marketplace where fitness instructors can publish their classes, and anyone who wants to do yoga and everything else, any class, can check the class, check the review, find more information to feel comfortable with it, pay the price, and then go to the class, right? So we were really interested into this, and we launched it. It has been hard. We went through phases where we have been more or less motivated, and it ended when we saw that actually we were unable to bring it to the next level. We also lost a bit of track with different projects. I got two babies. It became too difficult, and then finally we thought, look, it has been 3 years with it, and we also need to eat. We need to focus in more profitable projects. I think that's a lesson that I got from Move, that if you fail, make it quick. Don't keep it as a zombie and keep trying, because you will get burned. In our case, we didn't fight with each other. We have a very good connection, but it can happen that you argue with your colleagues, with the other co-founders, and find someone to blame. It's very common when something goes wrong. This didn't happen, but I mean, for all these reasons, I think it would have been better to cut it earlier. But there were emotions in it. My wife was in it too, and I couldn't make that decision till now, and it has happened. Yeah, and now we move on.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. At which point did you feel, like you said, to cut it earlier? At which point did you feel would have been retrospectively the right point of time to cut?
Well, we started in like May 2020, right? And we agreed wrongly, completely against the lean startup manual, to just invest 60,000 out of pockets and build an app, right? When none of the three founders had any technical knowledge. So we relied completely on a third party, on a company based in the UK, to do it. So they started in 2020, and they said to us, they sold us the story, we can do this in 6 months, which they didn't. They subcontracted all the job in a company in India, and they did an awful job. So by 2021, middle or end, when the project had already like a year delay and it was nowhere close where we want to be, I think we should have said, look, this just goes beyond our capabilities. We cannot even control and monitor the tech company. We cannot challenge them. We cannot dig into it. It's getting out of our hands. We should just leave it. And the momentum of COVID has been gone, or it was already disappearing when all the gyms were closed and so on. So I think that would have been a good moment after a year and a half trying it to move on. But we didn't, and we carried on.
Okay, great. Yeah. Another, because you said maybe another example where you said, okay, because your biggest learning, you said, was to cut losses as soon as you can see it. Of course, it's always a balance of, like, you know this graphic of like the gold digger, that is digging all the time, and in the end, like, there is this huge treasure which is just like 1 centimeter away, but he stops it. What was another event that happened where you would have said, okay, accept the tech development, that was learning?
Another moment where I think I have learned, you mean?
Yeah.
I think when we, in our last stage, so in 2023, in May, June, we had been accepted in an incubator in Barcelona, which was, to me, was like our last bullet, you know? I wrote to several incubators. One of them liked us. So I worked with them I joined the program. I was accepted there. It was amazing. I was there for 3 months. And it was promised, if you go through the program at the end, you get funding and the mentoring, everything else. And it was great because, you know, I had this idea, this concept that our app was about fitness. And I actually, myself, I'm into fitness. I have a gym as well. And so I happen to be already a small businessman. I understand about budgets, numbers, human resources, the industry, everything that I thought was necessary. But I was mistaken. At this stage in the startup, everyone needs to do everything. And you need a huge technical knowledge, right? At least none of us was a programmer, a developer, nothing like that. That was a mistake. And I realized when I joined the program that my abilities, me being skillful in my areas and being relatively successful in things that I have done, I wasn't what Move needed. I think you need at the very early stage, in this case being an app, someone who loves tech. I don't love tech. I love my gym. I can be like days talking about it all the time. My wife gets crazy, okay? But I never stop thinking about it because I love it. It doesn't happen to me with tech. And you cannot have someone pushing for the idea at the beginning when you need to be 200% there, who doesn't love it, you know? And the app wasn't about fitness. It was tech. And I missed that. That was a mistake. I wasn't the right profile. None of the co-founders were, actually. We had different backgrounds. And I realized it was just beyond my expertise and knowledge, and it was better to walk away because I was never going to make it.
Yeah, I think, totally true. I think also what we are focusing at Dreamdriven is we're screening every team, every venture before very, very carefully, because we know that from our experiences what it needs actually to make it successful. And we're always putting in each venture an industry expert, which, for example, would have been you. Of course, there is then also the founder, but somebody technical needs definitely to be there. And if not, you would have to like a reliable option that you can count on, because it's not a problem to outsource and now to take a freelance or fast to have it in-house. But just starting, in goodwill with that, just with motivation and so on, this will begin quickly. Yeah,
you know, we tried coming to what you said now. Like, we tried to include at a later stage in the incubator when we noticed this CTO, but it's a problem when you bring someone new into a team that is already consolidated and he doesn't buy the idea the way you do. He hasn't put their money. He hasn't been there with you for as long as you have been, and doesn't come with the same impulse, with the same energy. Comes almost as an employee. So you have to include that person at the very beginning and make sure that he or she is 100% or 150% there. And then we paid because he wasn't, and it's fine. But yeah, basically one of the founders since the beginning has to be, in my case, had to be tech related.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's tricky, and especially in Europe, we have this this scarcity of tech founders and this over demand of business founders, and there are definitely solutions to it. But if you do a startup first time and so on, and you really run out of time and you have that pressure, and then finding somebody quickly, that is fully committed and so on. Of course, at a certain point, you have to look at the options that you have and take the best one out of it. I want to talk briefly also about Dreamdriven, especially Fabi and me. Where, from your eyes, where did Dreamdriven support in this journey?
Well, I have the feeling that everyone that we had around our incubator, which I don't want to mention, was more focused on the data, on the numbers, on facts, and you guys paid special attention to the emotional side of it, which is very important, because if you at some point crack, which we all do, you need someone who to bring you up, who supports you, who pushes you, not just have a board meeting telling you your numbers don't add up. Why didn't you think about it? You always get slaps, right? And I'm fine. I'm very good at getting slaps. My dad was in the military, and I'm very well trained. But sometimes you need someone who believes in you and tell you you can do it. Come on, guys, get up. I believe in you. I will give you tools. Just we are here together to get this. And we got that with Dreamdriven. I never felt as supported by anyone than with Fabi and you. And I say this from the bottom of my heart. Yeah, you follow the board meetings. You helped us out to get the information they needed. You believed in us, and that was really, really valuable to me. Then aside that, also something a bit more technical was well, you deep knowledge about the ads, which really helped us as well to get results. That helps a lot because none of us came from the marketing industry, and that was really helpful. This scheme, I remember that Fabi had done, with all the problem solutions, with all the how do you call it? You had a
target testing tree.
Ali was doing it, but there was yeah. Anyways, he did a very nice scheme, and that was like amazing. That was new for us. We had no idea about it, and he was very, very well structured, and it worked. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much for that feedback, Santi. Yeah, I think sometimes also from us from Dreamdriven, we look at like what's missing actually. And I mean, right now at that point where we cooperated together, we haven't had the tech resources right now. It would be great because I would just say, okay, look, we're gonna smash that also. But also, as you mentioned, like there's this technical side and there is the other side, which is like which is not mentioned so often, but we are all humans, and at a certain point, we are all doubting, especially in startups, if there's an early stage, if there is no feedback, you only have qualitative feedback, no real quantitative, because you just can't have so many numbers at that stage. And then qualitative, you get so many opinions on different sides, and you really don't know where you stand. And if it's at all worth it, because in the end, you're not getting paid, and almost everybody around you is getting paid for anything and so on. And you think at a certain point, why am I doing this? And the question is then, and this is what we also figured out, that founders who care about something, who have a vision, who start actually with a problem, but they said, okay, maybe it's not that product or this, but I just want to do something in that space, because it can't go on I'm not happy with the status quo, and you can actually help people. And that's also what we have seen now from our batch in September, that the one founder actually that was really passionate about this area, he wasn't hesitated to shift or to pivot, because I mean it's a tool automation platform, and he just loves consult people with like the best tools out there and improve effectivity, and that's the basis. And he loves tech actually. So that's also a point. Cool. Santi, from last question, from your experience for Dreamdriven, if you could recommend it to someone, who would be the persona that you feel Dreamdriven could help, or in which stage should they be?
I think I have little experience with incubators. Only the one that I went to in Barcelona, right? And has been positive. Actually, they were very professional. They were very good. I think, in my opinion, you have to go already with the idea. I mean, they cannot create an idea for you. You have to know what motivates you, your passion, and where you want to be, right? And with a solid team. But it's not necessary to go to Dreamdriven with already numbers and some monetization, right? I will go the way we went, actually, with the idea. We had a strong team. We knew what we wanted to do. We even had an app. We still didn't invoice, but I will go seeking for answers and experience from expertise that can help me in those areas where I a lack of experience, right? So, excuse me, I will go like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And Manu, I would like to say, if I can, if you may, there's one thing to everyone who might listen, which is also related to what I got after this, right? Because you are seeing now a guy who failed, right? I failed. I'm not scared to say this. I failed in Move, but of course there is something that I also I got, and I consider very valuable, which is that I also understood what I'm not good at, which is very important. I think nowadays we live in a world where people tells you how good you are in some things, right? But people doesn't tell you when you suck. Not anymore. Yeah, it's all about positivism, but it's good because if you learn what you're not good at, and we all are not good in something, we can focus in what we are good at, which we always are, right? So in my case was I have my gym, and actually I'm working really hard to create a small chain with 5 gyms in Valencia, and that's where I belong, and I like it. I get adrenaline, I get passion about it. I never did about Move, and it's fine, but it's good to learn that and not to waste your time, your money, in something that actually doesn't motivate you. And it's fine not to be good at something. Just move on and find what you actually like to do and where you are good. Where you're good at. So that's my piece.
Great. Yeah. This is what I also wanted to say or ask you to tell a bit about actually what you're doing now, and like the shift again from this typical startup world into something more grounded, maybe. No. Thank you so much, Santi. That's it. Thank you so much. And I just closed the recording right now. Stop.